Today on TQA Weekly, how to be more environmentally friendly with your home office and save money in the process. This is TQA Weekly. I'm your host, Steve Smith, aka Z Axis, and yes, you may call me that. And of course, if you ever have any questions, comments, suggestions on our stories, email me them at ask@tqaweekly.com. Show notes for this episode are going to be at tqaweekly.com/SE3EP11. Of course, if you're on YouTube, the link will be down below. And I'm going to be talking about the greener home office. And no, I'm not talking about adding plants and water fountains or painting the walls green. I'm more specifically interested in the idea of your computer home office uses electricity. Most of the electricity in the world are generated by fossil fuels, power plants, or hydroelectric dams. Well, what's this mean for you? Well, nuclear energy, fossil fuel energy, heck, even flooding whole places just to get electricity through the hydroelectric dam does mean that we're affecting the planet in a negative way. What we're doing to the planet? We have some ideas, but we're not entirely sure, and for the most part, we'll know when the planet tells us. We're going to be screwed, but that's what's happening. But we're not just focusing on the environmental factor. I'm focusing on the factor that more specifically targets most of you, which is money. You don't like spending money on things like bills. And the electric bill is a bill people don't like paying. So how do you make an office greener, more environmentally friendly, and more economical? By using less electricity. And I've got a few tips for you that you can actually use. So let's start off with the computer monitor and your computer. Well, a computer monitor may take anywhere from 30 to 60 or more watts to power. Fully on, full brightness. Obviously it changes depending on how bright the fluorescent tubes or whatever backlight you're using is actually taking as power to power it. But obviously it uses its full amount of power while it is powered on and being used. So what can you do about this? Well, when you're in front of your computer using it, there's no actual problem. You're currently using it. But what happens if you leave your computer on all the time? Well, you might as well enable things such as the ability to turn off the monitor after X amount of time. Not really hard. You go under the power settings under Windows, Linux, or Mac. So this is not even operating system specific. This is all operating systems. So you go under the power settings and you set the actual monitor to turn off after a given amount of time. 30 minutes, an hour, it's your choice. Obviously, this is not the only way you can save power with your computer. You can also power down the hard drives. So basically what will happen is any traditional spinning drive, this does not affect SSDs, will actually have the servo motor power down. So it will actually stop spinning. Spinning a hard drive actually requires quite a bit of energy, and that means by having it stop spinning, not only are you stopping the process of using electricity, you're also allowing the hard drive to cool off, which means it will prolong ever so slightly the duration of life for your hard drive. Another idea that you may want to tinker with is the idea that your computer does normally have a hibernation mode. By enabling the hibernation mode after a given amount of time, all the information for your session will be saved into memory, and the computer will be, for all intensive purposes, off. By depressing a button on your keyboard, you'll be able to turn your computer back on. It will take anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds, maybe more depending on the computer, but it will power up faster than the startup time that it normally requires your tower or laptop to use. Which brings us to the last point. Hibernation still requires for some of your basic user interface devices to be powered. The ultimate way of saving money with your computer is to have everything off. So, turning your computer off will save you a lot more power. So, by using the hibernation mode or the power off mode of your computer, how else could you save electricity? Well, there are devices such as the American Power Conversion UPS ESBE750G, which will be available in my show notes, the link to the actual product. This allows you to have one port, the master port, controlling 3 control ports. These are plugs, by the way. And anything plugged into these plugs will be turned off whenever the wattage being used by the control port is below the minimum wattage set in the computer. So what happens is when your computer goes into hibernation or is powered off, any gadget that you plug into there will be off. So if you plug in cell phone chargers, scanners, printers, or any other type of gadget, it will power off. And here's a bonus. If you add a surge bar or 2 into these ports, you can extend the amount of gadgets that you have into these ports to be turned off. What does this allow you to do? Well, this prevents anything called vampire load. So the amount of electricity being used by dormant devices is actually quite a bit. And in fact, most business offices use more power during the 16 hours that they're not being used than the 8 hours that they're being used. Obviously, it's over a longer period of time, but there's nobody using these devices. So, turning off your scanners, printers, external hard drives when you're not using them is going to be beneficial for you. What else could you do? Well, some of us have NAS drives, so network attached storage drives. Some of these actually contain a schedule. You can set up a schedule where the network attached storage drives turn themselves off. So at one point, while your computer is either hibernated or off, you can have everything turned off and have the NAS drive turn itself off. And when you need to come back to the office, turn on the NAS drive, turn on a computer or hit the keyboard and bring your computer out of hibernation back into full power use. The only other thing that you may have to turn on is the monitor. So obviously that is everything that you need to do for your home office to use less power. So like I said, by doing this, you will basically help prevent the excess burning of fossil fuels, the excess construction of nuclear power plants, and obviously avoid the needless destruction of other environmental areas through the building of hydroelectric dams. Next week, I'll be talking about how to install, I'll be demonstrating it, how to install Ubuntu 12.10 under Windows 7 64-bit Professional so that any of you still running that could actually get it to work. Remember to like this episode if you're interested in today's topic, share it if you think somebody else can benefit from this, and subscribe if you wish to learn more. For the show notes of this episode and others, how to subscribe to a newsletter and other ways to subscribe to the show, head over to tqaweekly.com. Stay safe and online, and have a great day. Goodbye.